You're watching Eye on Africa on France 24. I'm Alexander Orcott. These are the headlines. More than 80 candidates register for Cameroon's presidential election, a division of the opposition that leaves President Paul Biya the favourite to extend his leadership to half a century. We'll be heading to Monguno in northern Nigeria, where heightened security measures have created an oasis of safety in an area suffering from a surge of jihadist violence. The Sables land back home victorious. Zimbabwean rugby fans head to the airport to welcome their heroes who defeated Namibia for a place in the Rugby World Cup for the first time in more than 3 decades. Now, at 92 years old, Cameroon's President Paul Biya is already the world's oldest head of state, and in less than 3 months' time he'll be seeking re-election for an 8th term, at the end of which he would be almost 100. Around 80% of the population was born after 1982 when he first became president, and many are calling for change. But he remains the favourite as there's no united opposition. 81 candidates have now registered, with a full list due to be published next month. Indira Ayuk reports from Yaoundé.
A record number of 81 people have deposited their files at the national body in charge of elections organization in Cameroon, that is Elections Cameroon, commonly referred to as ELECAM. They all tendered in their applications by the deadline, which was for Monday, July 21 by midnight. Now, amongst the 81 are some interesting candidacies. We have opposition candidates who have been part of the regime in place for several years. We're talking about Maurice Kamto, who is a strong opposition figure and who emerged second place in the 2018 presidential elections in Cameroon. There is also Issa Chiroma Bakari and Bello Buba Maigari, who are both representing their opposition parties. Both former ministers resigned from their government positions a few weeks ago and are now vying for Cameroon's top job. There is also incumbent President Paul Biya, who has been in power since 1982. His candidacy raised so much dust in Cameroon, and he will be going in for an 8th term in office. The presidential elections have been slated for the 12th of October this year. A final list of candidates retained for the presidential elections will be made public by Elections Cameroon on the 13th of August. Now, after the list is published, the candidates will have 15 days to campaign and try to win voters on their side before the presidential elections.
Next, rescue efforts are ongoing in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where an unknown people are trapped underground. It's been more than 2 days since a shaft collapsed at the Lemira artisanal gold mine in South Kivu province, known for its precarious working conditions. Other miners are waiting for news of their friends and colleagues.
We were working in the shaft. My friends had been in there since Saturday night. And on Sunday morning, we learned that the shaft had collapsed. We tried to find them, but they never returned to where we sleep. There were 3 of them, and until now, we don't know if we'll see them again.
I don't know how many people were there. We heard screams on Saturday night, but we assumed it was just our friends panicking, as they often do here at the quarry. It was only the next morning that we found out there'd been a collapse.
Now, in Nigeria's northeastern Borno state, the town of Monguno has been kept largely secure thanks to a reinforced military presence, despite the region witnessing a recent surge of jihadist attacks. Lauren Berstecker takes a look now at the measures being used to keep people safe.
Metal detector in hand, these soldiers carefully comb through the dirt road surrounding Monguno in search of explosives. It's become a routine exercise for these men who patrol the 10-kilometer axis on a daily basis. They're part of a sprawling security apparatus that's been deployed around the garrison town in recent years, transforming Monguno into a rare island of safety in Borno State, a region plagued by jihadist violence.
This location was attacked twice in a space of 1 month, and the gallant troops of this location stood their ground and fought and repelled the attack.
The town, which hosts the Nigerian headquarters of the multinational Joint Task Force, has been heavily fortified in recent years to ward off jihadist attacks. It's surrounded by trenches and barricades, and soldiers stationed at 12 separate checkpoints meticulously control all comings and goings. A modern fortress which represents a safe haven for civilian populations in Borno State.
I had a plot of land around 5 kilometers away, but I had to abandon it after Boko Haram attacked, so I came here.
Despite heavily reinforcing security in Monguno, the Nigerian army is still largely focused on defense and lacks the means to carry out operations against jihadist groups entrenched in remote territories.
Now, Egypt is offering Sudanese people train tickets back to their capital city free of charge. Hundreds have swarmed to Cairo's main railway station to take up the offer that comes after the Sudanese army recaptured Khartoum from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. More than 40,000 people have been killed in the more than 2 years of fighting so far. Egypt has accepted the largest number of displaced, with an estimated 1.5 million Sudanese refugees living there. Many expressed gratitude for the help offered to them by Cairo.
I came to Egypt with my daughter, but now I'm returning to Sudan. We heard about this initiative, and thanks to our family, we were able to come here.
Next, smoked tilapia is a national emblem in Ivory Coast. The fish is served with local sides of acheke or plantains. But today, this popular dish is under threat. The shortage of braised Ivorian fish represents a crisis felt across the entire industry. This report is by Mba Kamara and Demian Kofi.
5,000, 4,000.
It's still crackling on the coals, but something's changed. Braised fish is more expensive and portions have shrunk. And it's no longer fish from Ivorian lakes, but imported from other countries. Marie Andrea continues to run her small restaurant in Bonua, but she's had to adapt.
These days, when we go fishing, we can't find good fish. We can't even make a living. So we have to import frozen fish to braise and sell. Customers say that frozen fish isn't nice, but I have my own little secret for making it taste better. My customers like my seasonings.
Fishermen, who were once the backbone of the industry, are also having to cope with the increasing scarcity. In Adiake, fishermen like Alain are at a loss. He's been casting his net for 40 years, but today he brings in more seaweed than fish. Overfishing, pollution, gold washing, the Biya lagoon is running out of marine life, and so is an entire industry.
Here, for example, you can see the water's going down. The gold miners go as far as Ghana, and all that means that the fish are becoming scarce, because you have cyanide in the water that's been put there by illegal gold panning.
Over 70% of fish consumed in Ivory Coast is imported. Breaking from traditional methods, a new generation is trying to produce a sustainable alternative. At Monduku, near Grand Bassam, a fish farm school is training young people in soilless aquaculture, sustainable closed-circuit fish farming that boosts local production.
There's a huge demand, but production is very low. So why not, in one big effort, train people who in turn will train others to create jobs? That's why I came up with the idea of setting up master classes, and why every month I try to share some of the tricks of the fish farming trade.
In addition to local initiatives, the government has set its own goal: 68,000 tonnes of locally produced tilapia fish by 2031. A hope to preserve a dying-out staple of Ivorian cuisine.
Now let's take a look at some sport. And Zimbabwe have defeated their oldest African rivals Namibia to earn a space in the Rugby World Cup for the first time in 34 years. The Sables survived a late charge to end with a wafer-thin victory, 30 points to 28. France 24's correspondent Sharon Mazingezo met the team as they arrived home to a hero's welcome.
The Robert Mugabe International Airport welcoming the Zimbabwe national rugby team, the Sables, following their historic win at the Rugby Africa Cup. After beating Namibia, Zimbabwe qualified for the Rugby World Cup for the first time since 1991, Zimbabwe will be among the 24 teams that will take part in the 2027 World Rugby Cup in Australia.
We are going to enjoy what we've achieved. There's a big challenge coming. Of course, the best teams in the world will be there, and we'll have to play against them. So at the moment, it's just excitement. But as soon as the preparation starts taking shape, of course, we try to get the very best Zimbabweans on the field as prepared as possible, and to continue making us proud, hopefully.
Zimbabwe becomes the second African country to confirm their place at the Rugby World Cup in Australia, joining the world reigning champions, South Africa.
As our correspondent Sharon Mazingezo. Now, despite losing to Zimbabwe, Namibia can still qualify for what would be their 8th consecutive Rugby World Cup, everyone since 1999. They now need to defeat the United Arab Emirates on Saturday at the Mandela National Stadium in Uganda. And that's all for us here on Eye on Africa. Stay tuned. There's more world news coming up on France 24.